computer. Okay, hi everybody. It is Wednesday, August 15th, and this is Karen Batty, and I'm here to talk to you tonight about fairs. We are at just the beginning of fair season in New England, and from now through the holidays, we can find lots of fairs, festivals, craft shows, all kinds of things, ways to get the word out about our business beyond family and friends. And that's what's so great about fairs. We can see a lot of people in a very short period of time. And these people that walk by our booth, they don't know each other. You know, let's say you go to a big show. A big show might have 15, 20 people at it. And you can walk away with 3 or 4 bookings. However, usually the people know each other. So you'll hear, okay, I'll have my party at the end of August, yours in September, and then, oh, why don't you wait and do yours right before the holidays? We'll spread it out so we don't get pampered left out. So you can get lots of bookings at a party, but it's hard to get them all in a short period of time. But you can definitely do that with a fair. For the first part of the call, I'm just going to talk about fairs in general, and then at the end, I'm going to talk about specifically things for the Hopkinton Fair. All right, so if you want to get into a lot of fairs, where can you find them? Well, you can hop online. You can put in a zip code you want to be in and just, you know, Google that zip code and fairs or festivals or craft shows, and it'll give you a whole bunch. You can talk it up at your parties. You know, let your guests know, hey, I'm looking to get into some fairs or festivals. Do you guys know of any? You can post on your wall or in your customer group. You can talk to people that you know who sell other things and find out if they know of any fairs in their area. When you are at a fair, maybe you get to a fair and you're there a little bit early. Hi, Lori. You can talk to other vendors and find out what other fairs they're in. A lot of the fairs that I've gotten into over the years, the initial way I got into those fairs was because I talked to other vendors. I got into one fair and was chatting with the person next to me, and she had gotten in a whole bunch of different events and you know, gave me the names of those. She also kept me in mind when she heard of other vendors and they said, oh, by the way, we don't have a Pampered Chef person. She's like, oh, I know a great Pampered Chef person. You know, so make friends with other vendors. Beth, I'm going to mute you because I think you have some background noise there. So Beth, if you want to talk later, you'll need to unmute. Okay, so that's kind of some places to find fairs. Now, if you find a lead on a fair, okay, it's not one like the Hopkinton Fair that's all set up for us, but you actually find one of your own and you want to call about it. Here's some things you should ask. Number one, how much does the spot cost? Okay, but know that cost is often negotiable, especially if the fair is coming right up, because those people who are planning the vendor events do not want empty spots. So very often they'll discount a spot if it's pretty close to the fair time. So ask them when they tell you a price, if it's not, you know, if it's more than you thought you could afford or thought it would be, just ask them, is there any wiggle room in that price? Ask how it's being advertised and what is their expected attendance. If this fair is a recurring fair, ask what their attendance was the year before. Okay? Ask what's included in the cost. Sometimes tables are included, skirted tables, sometimes not. But find out what's included in the spot. Find out if you can offer your own raffle. Most of the time you can. That means you can do a drawing at your own table to drum up business. Is it inside or is it outside? If it's outside, is it covered? Okay. And then ask, if you sign up for the spot, do you have exclusive rights? Like they're not going to accept 3 other Pampered Chef consultants at one fair. Okay, so those are some of the questions you want to ask. If the cost is too high for you to do it alone, you can do like what we're doing with the Hopkinton Fair and split it into shifts. Same thing with the Hillsborough Fair. The Hopkinton Fair is, you know, hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But all of a sudden when we split it into shifts, $25 a piece or so, very, very affordable, okay? So if it's a fair that you want to get into and it's too much for you, post it. Well, first talk to a friend, within our team. If your buddy can't do it, post it in the OWL group. And, you can split it up into whatever shifts you want. If you find the fair, guess what? You get your choice of shifts. Okay. And then you can post it to see if there's anybody else that wants to work it with you. We have a fair display that's available for you. Michelle Weinstein usually keeps it at her house, and you can sign it out if you've got a fair that you want to use it for. So we've got a couple of folding tables. We've got tablecloths. We've got Pampered Chef banners. We've got a display board. We've got the spinning wheel. We've got racks that go, that go on the back of the table to put products on. So you can, if you're doing a fair and you want to borrow some of that stuff, you just get in contact with Michelle, let her know, the timing of the fair, and if nobody else has signed it out, you can use some of those things. Sometimes all people want is a nice banner or one of the big tablecloths. You don't have to borrow everything, but you can borrow what you need. Okay. When it comes to a fair, you want to always go with a goal in mind. What do you want to get from the fair? By the time that shift is over, what do you want to leave with? I don't usually go with a sales goal. I usually end up with some sales. I don't usually do any cash or carry, although at some fairs, you're allowed to do that. But you know what? Then I have to put out the money ahead of time. I have to carry it all. I have to hope whatever I have for cash and carry is what people want. So I tend not to do that, because when I go to a fair, I'm usually looking for bookings and for recruit leads. Okay? So if you want to get some bookings, you want to know, when do you want these bookings for? What month, what dates are you trying to book? And know what's on special at that time and why that's a great time to host. If you're looking to add members to your team, similarly, know what the sign-on bonus is and know why, whatever timing that fair is at, why that's a great time to consider the business. Okay. All right. How many of you have never done a fair before? I think Kimberly has. I know Lori has. Beth has. Chelsea, have you ever done a fair before? It's your first time. All right. So a fair is different from an in-home cooking show. At an in-home cooking show, we sort of have a good hour or so to win the crowd over and to have them like us. At a fair, we've got a few seconds as people are walking by to make a connection. So it's a little different. So you don't want to just sit at the booth reading a book, waiting for someone to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, tell me about what you got here. You want to definitely smile and be approachable, because like I said, we just have a few seconds to grab people's attention. I like to have a little catch, something that really grabs people's attention. Some things that I have done or I've seen other consultants do. I remember the first time I went to a fair, the consultant I was working with, she had a quick stir pitcher filled with water and confetti. So every time she swished it, you could see the confetti swirl around. It really grabbed people's attention as they walked by. The next fair I went to, the consultant, it was a fair that had a lot of kids. So the consultant had brought a little Tyke's kitchen table and some homemade Play-Doh and had that right in the booth. So as kids walked by, they were playing with the Play-Doh. And well, when the kids are playing with Play-Doh for free, the parents are there looking at the booth. I loved last year at the Hopkinton Fair, or the year before, I brought my spiralizer and sweet potatoes. I'd wash them off ahead of time. Sweet potatoes are great, unlike regular white potatoes that have a ton of moisture in them and get really brown and disgusting and goopy. The sweet potatoes are nice and dry. And I just had one in there and just gave it a swirl every once in a while, and people would walk by and go, ooh, and I'd say, give it a try. And they'd come over and they'd try it out. So it got people's attention pretty quickly. So you want to think of some product that you love that you can do, something that you can do over and over in a very short period of time to grab people's attention as they're walking by. It can be anything. Okay, we if you wanted to do the Play-Doh thing, we have the little cookie cutters that kids could use, whatever. And just know that most people are just gonna walk by, keep walking. Sometimes not even politely, but it's okay. Don't take it personally and shake it right off, because there's a lot of people, and every once in a while you'll see people from afar just kind of looking at the booth, seeing the banner, and you'll see them like read, "Oh, Pampered Chef," and all of a sudden their eyes light up and they come walking right for the table. And I always say, "Oh, Pampered Chef, you love us, don't you?" And they're like, "Yes." So be prepared for that as well. Also, be prepared for people who have never heard of Pampered Chef. 70% of the 20-somethings out there in this country have never heard of Pampered Chef. So be ready to explain it to them, not over 10 minutes, but in, about a minute. Be ready to explain what Pampered Chef is, how you want to sell it to them, right? Hey, Belinda, can I unmute you for a minute? Because you are great at really connecting with people. I worked a fair shift with her, and I was in awe. 1 minute I was in awe, and the next minute I was trying not to wet myself because I was laughing so hard. So do you just want to share kind of what you do at fairs to connect with people?
They all look like my father or my mother. So as somebody is kind of walking down the aisle or something, I always kind of like will go up to them and say, "Oh my goodness, I cannot believe you so look just like my uncle or my best friend," or something like that, because most people will always say, "Oh, what a beautiful necklace you have on," or "Oh my goodness, your shirt is awesome." So I try to connect in a different way. So they all look like some of my relatives. They don't have any idea, right? So I just kind of connect with them that way, and then I have my apron on, so they obviously know that I'm with Pampered Chef. So normally it will, get back to that, that subject or something. But the other thing too is, I always say that the way to a man's stomach is, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And I think the way to a woman's heart is through her children. So if there are kids, sorry, my eye is burning. I normally will connect with their children first. And I'll just say anything to their kids themselves. But I think the main thing that I can say is go to the fair with intention, whether it's for booking. And I'm sorry if I'm a little late coming on, and you might have already covered this.
Yep, we definitely talked about that.
Okay, because when you go there with intention, and whether it's booking or recruiting or whatever, you've always got that in the back of your mind. And the thing that I always say is, I would much rather put people in my calendar right away, instead of waiting and having to call them the next day and say, "Hey, I know you filled out the drawing slip at the fair yesterday." And so I would rather be calling them and saying, "Oh, I'm so happy that you booked a show with me."
Yeah.
But you'll have hesitation. Some people will say something like,
now you're getting ahead of me.
"Oh, I'm getting ahead of you." Oh, yeah.
We're getting to that. We're getting to that.
Yeah. Okay.
So first, connecting. And did you notice that Belinda didn't sit there and say, "So have you heard of Pampered Chef?" That's not her lead-in. First, she connects with the people. And if you've never worked with Belinda, she certainly doesn't stay in the booth. She will walk right up to someone. Oh my goodness! She walks up to them like, I could have sworn you were my father. Oh, you look just like him, and she really can. Or, oh my goodness, she'll run right up to the baby. Like, can I just toes? Oh my goodness, and she's definitely engaging. If that's not your personality style, you don't have to be that way. But if it is, do it because it works. But just be friendly. I like to joke with people. So they're walking by with French fries and I'll be like, oh, I'll trade you a food chopper for a bowl of French fries or something like that. And they'll start laughing and we'll start talking. And I do compliment if they're wearing something, got earrings that I love, I'll say, oh my gosh, those are gorgeous. Where did you get those? And they'll be like, oh, what earrings am I wearing? And then they'll start telling me the story of their earrings or whatever. But make a connection with people. Smile, make eye contact. I consider myself to be a shy person. I have to get like my first half hour at a fair, I'm like, I'm glad it's a long shift because I got to sort of work into like my fair mode, because even at a show, I've got time to win people over, but we don't here. So it's okay if it takes you a few minutes to kind of get going, but really just kind of put yourself out there, smile, and look to make someone's day. Compliment them, make them smile, make them laugh. Once you've made the connection, what are you going to hear? You're going to hear a couple of things. Like I said, 70% of 20-somethings have never heard of Pampered Chef. So, if they're looking like Pampered Chef, oh yeah, have you ever heard of us? And they're like, no. Don't be like, what do I say? Have some way of describing it to people. Some of the ways I've described it is, hey, have you ever seen one of those cooking shows on TV where people like cook together and then they eat? Yeah, it's like that. Only you and your friends are the live studio audience. Okay, so you can explain it. One time I was talking to a young lady and she was asking me about Pampered Chef. And I said, have you ever heard of Sephora? And she said, yeah. And I said, we're like Sephora, but for the kitchen. So, because it was a 20-something, So think of a way that's relatable for people that they can wrap their brain around it. But something that doesn't take a half an hour to explain. Now, that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is something you'll hear when people walk by and they go, oh, yes, Pampered Chef. I know Pampered Chef. I own everything. And about a year or so ago, I came up with the perfect response to that. And so last year I'd say to them, oh, you do? Oh my gosh, don't you love your Rock Rock? And what do you think they'd say?
Rock Rock?
What? And I go, you said you own everything and you don't own the Rock Rock? Oh my goodness. That's like saying you own everything and you don't own a baking stone. Are you kidding me? You don't own the Rock Rock? And I'll say to them, do you have 90 seconds? I can tell you all about it. And now they're so curious. They're like, all right, you got 90 seconds. Okay, so now I can talk up the Rock Rock. This year when I hear, oh, I have everything, what do you think I'm going to say? Oh my gosh, do you love our quick cooker? Are you just using it every day? I know I am. And they're going to be like, the what? I'm going, you don't have our quick cooker? Yeah, you do not own everything then. Okay, so have one item that's going to be sort of your go-to to get people excited. Now, the greatest thing about the Hopkinton Fair is that it's perfect timing. And same with the Hillsborough and then the other one that Michelle leads up. They're all, in the September timeframe. So it's perfect for our new product line. And of course, it doesn't matter what product you're super excited about, whatever that is, they can get at 60% off as a host bonus in September. I'm so excited that this host bonus is anything they want in September. That is perfect for us at our fairs. Okay? And then, like Belinda said, if they're excited about the product and they're a booking lead, do everything you can to get them in your calendar that day. You don't want to go, oh, okay, great, I'll call you in a day or two. No, see if you can get them in your calendar. And the way I like to do that is they get some kind of bonus for a September booking at the fair. So you could say to them, oh my gosh, yeah, you could get that quick hooker at 60% off just as a thank you for having a party in September. And guess what? When you book your date at the fair, you get to spin this wheel. And on the wheel is maybe a free product or an extra $15 in free items or something like that. They get to spin the wheel. Other things we've done is pop the balloon. We take a little slip of paper that says free pizza cutter or extra 15 and free or whatever. Put it in the balloon, blow up the balloon, put the date on and say, pick any of these dates. You get to pop the balloon, you get the prize that's inside. Or it can just be a balloon with no date. You let them know your dates they've got available. They pick a date, they get to pop a balloon. Something that gives them a reason to stop and pick a date on the spot. A lot of times people think they can't pick a date because here they are at a fair. They weren't thinking about having a Pampered Chef party, but now all of a sudden they want to pick a date, but they don't have the calendar with them. A lot of times they don't need to see their calendar. They need to see a calendar so that they can figure out their work schedule and count the days. Or you can say, well, you know, I do my parties on Thursdays and Fridays. Do you have a preference? If they say, oh my gosh, I definitely want a Friday, well, guess what? There's only 4 of them in September, and maybe the first one is Labor Day weekend, and you're at the fair, so you don't want that one. There's only 3 Fridays left. Ask them which one is closest to their payday. They get paid twice a month, then they can count their paydays, and now it's maybe 1 or 2 Fridays that they're looking at, and a lot of times they'll be like, oh yeah, I think that one will work. I say, great, let's pencil you in for that. You get to spin the wheel. And I'll call you tonight after I get home from the fair, give you a chance to check your calendar, make sure that works for you. And then something that I learned from, I believe, Sheena, she got people to log themselves in her phone. She'll hand them their phone. She'll bring up contacts, hand them their phone and say, why don't you put yourself in there? Or she'll say, how about if I put myself in your phone? That way when I call, you'll see Sheena and won't wonder what this name is of the person that's calling. And she also has had people like hop right online to order. They want to order. Have the app on your phone ready to go. It's also a great resource if someone has a question about a product you don't know the answer to. You've got the app ready. You can put the item in there and bring up all the information about it. Okay. And then the other thing that you can consider doing is some kind of drawing, a reason for people to fill out a survey slip. Okay, there will be some, you can use your survey slips that came in your kit, or, you know, sometimes there's some fair slips, like specifically for fairs floating around there. Check out Owl Dynasty. There might be some posted there. You can do a lookup for survey slips on there. So you give people a reason to fill out a survey slip. Oh, we're going to be doing a drawing today for, you know, a free cookbook or a free show, meaning if you win the raffle, you'll supply the ingredients for their party. Or, you know, we're raffling off, you know, a $15 gift certificate, good toward any Pampered Chef purchase. It's a reason for people to then fill out the survey slip that gives you their contact information. And of course, they check off, you know, whether they're interested about the business, hosting or anything like that. So you want to try to do your best to get people's information. Some people, instead of a survey of individual survey slips, they might have a clipboard where people can just sign up for things. You know, sign up to follow up, like, oh, send me a catalog, so they can fill out a form for that. They want to be added to your customer group, you know, just they can sign up for that. I tend to use the survey slips as a sign up thing. Here, fill out one of these and I'll make sure to get you that information. I'll make sure to mail you that catalog. I'll make sure to whatever. Don't just hand them catalogs or your business card. Nobody gets anything from me until I get their contact information. Because sometimes people say, oh, I'd really just love a catalog. And I say, well, I only have a few here that I need for display, but I'd love to mail you one. So do you want to fill out one of these slips? Then they fill out their slip and I look and go, you know, I had a few more than I thought. Here you go. So now they can have the catalog. I don't have to go home and mail it, but I've got their information. And I can make notes on that slip, like has catalog or has a host packet. You know, I make notes on the slip so that I can follow up. Like she was the one with twins, or this was the person that needed a replacement part, or this was a person that was interested in the spiralizer. I make little notes on that because you can get a lot of slips, and by the end, you know, you're going to forget who's who. So make little notes as you go along. So you want to get people's information. And of course, the fortune's in the follow-up. Before you go to the fair, figure out blocks of time for your follow-up, okay? And let people know when you will follow up with them. And if you're at an early fair in the Hopkinton Fair, don't wait till after Labor Day. You know, just say, hey, will you have time tonight if I call you? Or do you have a few minutes tomorrow if I call you? Or if I text you tomorrow, can you check on that date? You know, let them know when they can hear from you, or, you know, ask permission, like, is that a good time for you? Be ready to reach out 3 to 5 times to even really hot leads. Okay? It's just the way it is. You know, people are thinking, yeah, I definitely want to book, but they get a message from us and they're on the beach. So they swipe it out of the way, they forget about it, they forget we even messaged them until we message them again, or a third time. And then it's, oh, yeah, I was going to get back to that person. So just embrace that. That's just the way it is. Okay? And then fair etiquette. At the Hopkinton Fair and at many fairs, you know, we have 2 consultants per shift. Take turn talking to leads. Whoever initiates the conversation, that's their lead. Okay? Talk to your partner ahead of time. Ask them, hey, if I feel like I can help you with a conversation, do you want me to jump in? If they say no, then keep your mouth shut. If they say, yeah, sure, jump in to help them, but don't take the lead. Okay, that's not nice. Nobody wants that. All right? When you talk to somebody and they fill out the survey slip, initial it. So at the end, you know whose slip goes with whom's. If you're putting them all in one big, you know, rock crock for a drawing at the end of the shift, just make sure you've initialed the back or stamped the back of your survey slips so that in the end, you're leaving with your slips. If you want to offer any kind of incentive, like a raffle for a free show, or $15 in extra free product, or a specific item that you're going to raffle off, talk to your partner ahead of time and make sure you are in agreement. Okay, you guys want to be working as a team, not in competition. If you are shy and a few people walk by your booth and the other person you're with isn't shy, don't be surprised if they start jumping out and talking to more people. Okay, you're going to take turns, but it's not taking turns waiting for someone to walk into the booth. Okay, and if you're working with someone who's a little more outgoing than you are, everybody in the fair this year is in our organization. So if you're with someone who's a little more outgoing, you could say to them, hey, can you just help me start a conversation with someone? I am absolutely certain they will help you do that. Okay? If you're working with me, and once I get my groove on, I'm pretty outgoing, absolutely, positively, I will help people say, hi, Carolie's person. I would absolutely help, you know, get a conversation going and get them connected. Okay, so we're working not in competition, but to help each other. Now, sometimes people say, oh, I had a slow shift. Well, here's the thing. No such thing as a slow shift, because every human being is a lead, not just the people who buy tickets and go to that fair. The parking assistants, the ticket takers, the other vendors, the security, all of those people are people who are potential leads. So as soon as you park your car and get out of it, you're on. Okay? Put on your apron or have your logo apparel on, smile, be looking around, making eye contact, starting conversations with people. Talk to everyone on your way to the booth. When I have an opening shift at a fair, my goal is to secure one booking before they open the gates to the public. Okay? All right. Before we get to Hopkinton State Fair. Oh, by the way, at the end of a fair shift, if you're working with someone else, you divvy up the leads. you know, based on who's stamped who's. If you guys want to swap them out on your own because, oh, this one's near you and this one's closer to you, or I don't really like to do virtual parties and this one wants a virtual party and this one says they want a live show and I don't really want to do live shows, you can divvy them up any way you want, but divvy up your leads and take them from there, okay? Because we don't collect them for 5 days and then divvy them all up. All right? If you really want to build momentum in your business, get into a few fairs in a really short period of time. Talk about momentum. I had a person who was kind of struggling with her business because her family was not very supportive of her business. And at the beginning of the fall season, she got into 3 fairs, and by December, she was a director. Full calendar, director. Like, empty calendar in August, and bam, by December, okay? And she says the 3 fairs that she got into was a really big part of that. All right, so that's kind of fairs in general. Before I get to the specifics of the Hopkinton Fair, does anybody have any questions or want to add anything that you think would be helpful? Okay then, moving on. Specifics of the Hopkinton Fair. I just read online that the average attendance is 60,000 over the 4 days, which means about 15,000 people a day. We split it into 2 shifts. That's 7,500 people per shift, and those are the people who buy tickets. But there are about 850 to 1,000 people who have to be on site, rain or shine. Those are the other vendors, the people who do the rides, the people who bring their cows and animals and trucks for truck pulls and the tomatoes for the voting of the best tomato and all that kind of stuff. So people who clean the bathrooms, you name it. So there are a lot of leads to be had there. I messaged everybody who has a fair shift. I sent you a link through Facebook Messenger for your pass. Click on it, print it out, bring it with you. If you don't have that with you, you will have to pay to get in. When you paid your fee, it included that ticket, okay? So make sure to bring it with you. Belinda, you and I have the photo passes. I've submitted photos. I took the best one I could find of you from Facebook, so it'll be a surprise when you get there what I found. Parking is free, so no worries about that. You want to get there early because depending on where the parking people point for you to park, it could be a 1/4 mile walk on uneven, grassy terrain because we're parking in a field. It's a 4-H fair. So get there, knowing that. So you might want to get there about 15 minutes ahead. You want to park by the green gate. This is a huge fair. If you park by any other gate, you could be walking a mile to get to us, okay? You don't want to do that. So make sure it's green gate parking. When you enter through the green gate, when you walk through, on your left will be the bathroom and then a few little displays, and then the Stewart building will be on your left about 100 yards or so in. We are in the Stewart building. Where in the Stewart building we are, I do not yet know. I will find out when we get there, but it's not a very big building. There might be a dozen to 15 vendors in that place, so it'll be easy to find us when we're there. I'm going to get there on Thursday and set everything up. I'll take a picture of the display. I will post it in the Owl Dynasty. And because there's a new person running the fair, if there's any little nuances that people need to know about, that's where I'll be posting it. So make sure to check in the Owl group for updates. So in the setup, we usually have 2 folding tables, and we will have products there. And yes, the Rock Crock will be there. And yes, the quick cooker will be there. We'll have either a display board or something there with the special if they purchase 75 in August, but September bookings because we're there right over Labor Day weekend. So we'll have the host bonus and guest special for September. We'll have pens, clipboards, all the display stuff, banners, We'll have probably one folding chair. Like I said, I'll take a picture of it. If there's a product that you are excited about and you don't see it in the pictures that I take, bring it with you and then take it home with you afterwards. So what are you going to need to bring? Not too much, but definitely make sure to bring your calendar, your cell phone, and make sure you've got the app downloaded. Host packets, survey slips, make sure they're initialed or stamped. You might want to bring mini catalogs with you. Business cards. If you bring your business cards, do not put them on the table because you're not working the shift by yourself. And if someone is talking to your partner and sees a business card, they'll probably be like, oh, let me just take one of these and I'll call you, and that might not be your lead. So keep your business cards in your pocket. When you're talking to your lead and you've got their information and they've filled out a slip and everything and they want your business card, you can hand it to them. Or you can use recipe cards or the mini catalogs with your contact information on them, sort of as your business card. Okay. You can bring fun packs. If you don't know what those are, look them up on Owl Dynasty. Recruiting information. Okay. And if you want to do a sign-up sheet for people to sign up for things, you can do that. If you're going to do any kind of demo, like you like the idea of the spiralizer with the sweet potato, bring the spiralizer, bring your sweet potatoes, bring some wipes. There will be wipes there, but bring a plastic bag, and it's like camping. Leave no trace. Okay. Everything you bring with you, take behind. If you want to do a demo, don't use the products that are on display because those are semi-clean and we want them to stay that way. Okay. So products, trash bags, wipes. If you need your own knife, cutting board, things like that. You'll also want to bring plenty of water to drink. It can be very hot. Any kind of snacks that you want. Money. I usually buy from other vendors. I want something to eat while I'm there. Buy your coffee ahead of time. Not a lot of coffee there. If you want Dunkin' Donuts, buy it before you get there. Leads. Like I said, we're going to be taking turns. Initial the back of your slips. Take notes on those slips that are going to help you with the follow-up. Split them up at the end of each shift and take them with you. And like I said, you can trade if you want. Sometimes there's what we call loose leads. You might have a rush of people coming in and a bunch of people are filling out slips, and some people just take a slip and start filling it out. Okay, and now it goes in the pot and nobody has signed the back of it. You guys who work that shift, you can split up those loose leads any way you want. Most people will do it based on, you know, who the proximity of the consultant to those people. People come from all over at the Hopkinton Fair. I've had leads in Florida, all the way up the coast, all over the place, all over New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Maine. There are people who come to these fairs every year. Okay, but don't let that make you blink, because you know what? We got virtual parties. People can do parties any place. We can sponsor consultants anywhere. Okay? All right. And then how to dress for the Hopkinton Fair. It's a 4-H fair. There's cattle, there's a petting zoo, and you're going to have to, we're parking on a field that you're going to have to walk across. So dress accordingly. But be professional. Either wear your apron or logo attire. Make sure you have good supportive shoes. Sneakers are definitely fine at the Hopkinton Fair if you want to. I wouldn't wear shoes. I wouldn't wear sneakers to a Pampered Chef party in someone's home, but it is totally appropriate to wear them to the Hopkinton Fair. We are inside the building, so we don't have to worry about rain or too much sun or anything like that. But you might want to bring a jacket just in case, because you're going to have to walk back to your car, or if it gets cooler at night or whatever. Okay, so that's it in a nutshell. Any questions or comments? Yes, Lori, you need to unmute.
Is the wheel going to be there?
Yes, the wheel will be there. It's optional for the people at the fair whether or not you use it, but I love using it. The kids come running and want to just spin it. Well, that's fine because their parents have to come right over after them, right? So yes, that will definitely be there. Any other questions? Okay. Does everybody know who their shift partners are? Because I can't remember if I actually sent out an email. So I think I did, but I sometimes, you know, it's been such a whirlwind.
You messaged me, but I don't remember.
Okay. So I've got the list here. I'll actually read it out that way, everybody who's watching it. Friday morning, April and Chelsea. Friday evening, Jen and Belinda. Saturday morning, Brianna and Lori. Saturday evening, Sheena and myself. Sunday morning, Michelle and Beth. Sunday evening, Sue Moulton and Lynn Rocca. Monday morning, Belinda and Kimberly. Monday evening, Jen and, oh, I'm on closing shift too. That reminds me, when you're the opening shift, get there on time or a few minutes early to uncover everything. Sort of, we push everything against the wall, cover it with sheets. It'll take a few minutes, not long, to just kind of pull everything out. You'll have a picture of what it kind of looked like before. You can set it up like that, but if it doesn't add up if it doesn't look exactly like that, that's fine. Set it up any way you want. And then at the end, if you are the night shift, stay there until the shift is over. If you leave early, we could lose our spot at this fair. We've been in this fair for 15 years. Do not leave early, okay? Unless the fair officials come in and say there's, lightning and they want to clear the area, so they're telling everybody to go home and locking the doors behind them, then you stay till the end, okay? When the shift is done, kind of just push everything against the wall. You don't have to pack things up. Just make sure they're on the tables and covered with sheets so things aren't, right there for people to just take. The opening shift, April and Chelsea, don't worry. I'll be there on Thursdays to set everything up, so it's not like you have to really help set anything up at all. Jen and I are closing, so we're responsible for packing everything up and bringing it back to Michelle. If you are the morning shift, you might have to do some dusting off. It's a 4-H fair. There's a lot of dust. There will be paper towels and things like that there, wipes. So just kind of, keep it looking pretty good. Okay. All right. So I'm super excited because, man, oh, man, the Hopkinton Fair, Hillsborough Fair, I think is full. And then what's the one that Mel and Michelle managed that's a little bit later?
Deerfield.
Deerfield. I don't know if that's all filled yet, but great way to really give momentum to your business. I'm telling you. I remember Belinda one time at a sales meeting took one show that she got at the fair and showed how much business she got from that one booking. I don't even remember, but it was like, I don't know, like tens of thousands in sales. How many team members that stemmed from that one show that was outside of her family and friends circle. So,
and it was from Vermont.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So never underestimate the power of even one booking, but this kind of fair, you can definitely get more than that. One of the fairs that I do every year is in my town. It's a small fair at a church. It's really inexpensive to do, and I usually walk away with 3 to 4 winter bookings in December and January. So don't think you need to be in something as large as the Hopkinton Fair or the Hillsborough Fair or whatever. Sometimes even those smaller fairs are really great. So, okay. Chelsea, this is your first fair. Do you feel a little more prepared now?
Yeah, I think so. Can you hear me? I've never done one of these conversations before.
Yep, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you well. Yeah. So just be outgoing, and you guys have a special opportunity because you're the first shift. Nobody's going to have a chance to talk to any of the vendors before you do. The first couple hours of the Hopkinton Fair can be a little quiet because, it opens early in the morning. But all the other vendors are in that building, and they're sitting around waiting for people. So make connections with them. Go and check out what they're selling. And you know what, you guys, if it's a slower shift because of time of day or weather, take turns. One person stays at the booth and the other person walks around, all around the fairgrounds, just talking to other vendors for a half an hour or so. Because you can get some great leads that way. Okay. All right. Well, it's almost 9 o'clock. So if you have any other questions that you think of, you can post them under the Hopkinton Fair call post. I'm going to upload this video and post it there either later tonight or tomorrow. You can post other questions there or personally message me or your director. Okay? All right. Have a great fair season, everybody.
Woohoo! I'm excited.
Me too.
Me too.
Okay.